Greetings, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Dreamscapes. Today we have another returning guest, our friend Mary. You may remember from, I don't know, was that back episode 7 or something like that? God, it was like a year ago. Do you remember which one it was?
No, not really. But one of the first ones.
Yeah. Again, and I don't know if you, well, I haven't released it yet, but by the time this one goes up, people will know. But I've got another guest from episode 2. Dante came back to talk to me again. I've been having a little bit of trouble getting people interested or comfortable with the idea of coming on and talking to me. So I haven't had many dreams to decipher lately, but I have been getting some other things done that I really needed to do, a work around the house type of thing. So maybe the powers that be, the universe, kind of conspired to say, you're not going to interpret dreams for right now. You're going to do something else for a minute. I said, okay, so I shift gears. I go do that instead. But enough about me and my, I don't know that anyone really cares about that stuff. maybe not. But so we've got our friend, Mary here back for a second round. And, she is broadly speaking, in Europe. And I love saying that because, I've talked to people from all over the world. It's fantastic. And I like giving the audience that kind of, just perspective on where are people? Who am I talking to? People from the Middle East, people from Southeast Asia. So it's good. It's good stuff. But enough jibber jabber for me. We're going to jump into a dream as per my usual process. I'm just going to listen while you tell it once. We'll go back through it again. Then we'll try and figure it out together. So I'm ready when you are.
Okay. So I'm ready to start. So in my dream, I was in my house, in the house that I'm actually living now, that I am sharing with some housemates. The house is a 4-floor house in the center of the city, and it was night. It was the dream was happening during the night. So the thing that I noticed is that from the bathroom, from the bathtub was the water was running. And it was the whole house from this running water flooded. Like the whole house was flooded from the running water from the bathtub. And all the floors and up until the 4th floor, but not the 4th floor, were full of water. And this water was crystal clear. That was interesting. So I was swimming to go upstairs to save myself because I was on the second floor in the living room, and I was swimming upstairs to try to save myself. And as I was passing along, I saw my bedroom door open, and I saw my boyfriend, the same person that we were talking about last time, sitting on the bed. And it was like striking because he was sitting very calm. He was smoking also. And he was looking at me. He was wearing like a brown coat and a pair of jeans. And he was just looking at me very calm, as if he was not drowning somehow. And then I just was astonished that he was sitting there, not trying to save himself. And I went to him and I grabbed him. He didn't want to come with me, but at the end I grabbed him. I grabbed him from the coat, and I tried to put his head over the water, but he was not moving he was not moving a leg, a hand, like he was not helping me at all. Finally, I managed to do this. And so we saved ourselves. Like we climbed up the stairs, and while the house was flooded. And this was the dream, but it was really very intense. And I was wondering, what does it mean? Like I never saw water or house flooded. Yeah,
for sure. And that seems to be a rather short one, but as you were saying, very intense. And you were feeling, just broadly speaking, a sense of danger, urgency. This is serious. It has to be attended to.
Yes, of course, because I was feeling that I was drowning.
You did have a sense of kind of feeling that choking, you need to take a breath of air type of feeling?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what we're going to do next is go back through things. So in the very beginning, you knew there was a bathtub that had flooded. And what level was the bathtub on in this 4-story house?
On the third floor.
Third floor, and it was flooding down.
Yeah.
Okay, and the first 2 floors had already been submerged, and that's where you found yourself was on the.
Yes, also the third floor. Only the 4th floor.
That's right. That's
was,
right. Not
water
going
free.
back and reading my notes. Okay, so where did you say you appeared when you first jumped into the dream? You were on the 2nd floor?
Yes, I was in the living room.
Okay. What's on the 1st floor?
On the 1st floor is the entrance of the house and the small hall, and then the stairs to the 2nd floor, which is the living room.
Okay, so the 1st floor being, is this kind of a standalone, like what in America we'd say a condominium, or was it like an apartment building with multiple other people in different apartments?
No, it's not an apartment building. It's like a house, a whole house by itself.
Like a standalone house by itself. Okay.
Yes.
Good deal. So you appeared in the living room, which is on the 2nd floor. And how did you know that the flood was coming from the bathtub on the 3rd floor if you popped in on the 2nd?
To tell you the truth, somehow I knew.
Okay.
But I saw in my mind, I saw the bathtub like a flash. I saw the water running from the bathtub. That's what I. It's not that I was passing through the 3rd floor and I saw this. Somehow I knew it.
Okay, so something you just knew, but you didn't see as an image. Well, you did kind of. You had like a flash of insight or imagery in your mind.
In my dream, but it's not like that. As I was experiencing the dream, I saw it.
Okay, good deal. It's good to get those details worked out. And as I've said to some other people before, it doesn't matter whether you just knew it or you saw it in dreams. Those are equivalent. It's the same thing. Knowing something is the same as seeing it for yourself. But you actually did have even kind of just a flash of an image of like, oh, it's that tub. That specific tub is flooding. That's what's causing this. So the first thing I started asking you about was the idea of this sense of urgency, maybe panic. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but also that you couldn't breathe. That in the dream you were definitely underwater, and you had a sense of needing to take a breath of air.
Yes. Yes.
Holding breath is what I was looking for. A sense of holding your breath. So you had to swim. What was around you in the living room when you first appeared? It looked normal like it does in real life, or was there anything different?
It was exactly like it was in real life.
Did it appear that any of the objects in the room were floating, or were they all stationary in their place?
Stationary. Nothing was floating.
Okay. It's kind of interesting. I'm getting a sense of this. That jives very much with when you say got to passing your bedroom door and you see your boyfriend's in there and he's smoking underwater, which is of course bizarre and impossible, but also he doesn't seem panicked. It's almost like the water is something only you can or do experience in a way.
Yes. In my dream, I was thinking that he is drowning, but he doesn't want to save himself. It was like he was not, he didn't seem like panicking, but in my dream I knew that he was drowning. It's just that he was not panicking or he was not doing anything to save himself.
Did it have the sense or feeling of like him not being aware of it?
No, the sense was that he was very much aware of it. It's just that he was not moving, he was not doing anything to save himself or to save me or anything.
That is interesting. Yeah, I was just going to say there was that interesting parallel with there would definitely be in any given room some items that would probably float or be dislodged by moving water and
Nothing.
be displaced, but there was no effect. Like the water had no effect on the room. It had no effect on him in a way.
The water was not exactly moving, or I didn't see like a running water. It was like just the house was full of water.
Yeah.
It was like swimming in the sea underwater. It was not. I didn't see water running or a huge like pressure, water pressure where, and nothing was floating. Nothing.
Yeah,
everything was space.
That is a very interesting type of thing too. I think I messed up my camera by moving this white piece of paper. I'm going to see if I can fix it. Oh, what a good time to say, hey, I wrote some books. I'll put them up there real quick. That'll reset my...
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've got 4 of them out now. I've got a 5th one coming. Anyway, I just did that to reset the camera, and it looks like it worked for a second, and then it didn't work. I don't know. I'll just have to deal with my camera being slightly dark. Not a problem. So you appeared in the living room, and it was already flooded. You knew where the flood was coming from. It's the specific bathtub. And did you then say swim to the stairs and up the stairs to your bedroom?
Yes.
As you were moving that direction, was your bedroom a destination, or is it just a point you had to pass to get up above the water?
It was a point that I had to pass.
Okay. So it's almost like you, well, it feels like you didn't expect to see something there. You weren't going to your bedroom for a reason, but you passed by the door on your way to save yourself, and you noticed here's this other person, and they don't appear to be reacting at all.
Exactly.
And so this was on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
Your bedroom. Okay. When you look in your mind at the scene you saw through the open door, you said you saw him sitting on the bed and smoking, and you even said he was just in jeans and a brown coat.
Yes, I remember the coat because I grabbed him from the coat.
Okay. It's interesting. Not a lot of people, well, I couldn't give it a percentage, but it's assumed most people don't dream in color. But then every now and again, I get people saying they notice very distinct colors. Is this color of jacket representative of something he would normally wear?
No, not at all.
It was this style of jacket was kind of out of character for him.
Not only the style, the color as well.
Okay.
He usually wears a brown jacket, but this was a brown coat. Okay,
Okay. So he has a particular way of dressing, and this was out of what was normal for him.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, that's probably got something to it. So one thing I was trying to get at is maybe just a brief description of the way your room is laid out and where the bed is in relation to the door.
It is exactly in front of the door. Like we open the door and you see it's a big bed. I don't know how to describe it. It's like you open the door and you see it like diagonally in front, like in front of you. You see the bed.
Okay, and was he sitting?
Dominates the room.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What else?
You said the bed dominates the room, like it almost takes up all the space in the room.
Yes.
Not a large room. Okay. And was he sitting on the foot of the bed closest to the door, like he would be directly facing the doorway?
Yes.
Okay.
He was facing the doorway. Yes.
What could you say about his posture? Was he lounging, relaxed? Was he one leg crossed over the other, just very relaxed type of thing?
No, he didn't have crossed legs. He was sitting on the bed, not laying,
Okay.
and he had the calm posture, a little bit curved back. His back was a little bit curved, and he was a little bit curved in front of it, and his head was a little bit lowered, down. He was looking down, and then he looked up to see me. He had a relaxed posture, as if he was sitting, waiting for something, or just sitting to think about some things.
Okay. Gotcha. And describe for me, if you can, a little bit how you went from the hallway into the room to interact with him. What was that behavior like? So you swim in, and then what?
It was like quick move. I saw him. I just stand a little bit so that I grab what was happening, because I couldn't believe it. And then I just swam to him. I grabbed him and swam back, like on my back. Then I was, and grabbed him. I was grabbing him to the stairs. The stairs were in front of the bedroom door. Like in front of the bedroom door, you go out of my bedroom and you see the stairs going up.
Okay.
So it was not just a big distance.
Yeah, which is why as you were swimming up, you would have been able to see him in the doorway, and then that moment of surprise, and immediately you're like, he's not reacting to this situation. He's in danger. So you swim in. Did you grab him kind of by the front of the coat and drag him backwards? Yes. Okay.
Yes. So he was above me. I was below while we were swimming. I was below. Basically, he was not moving at all. He was not swimming. I was swimming, and I was below, and he was above me.
Okay. So he was just completely passive this whole time, not helping, but also not resisting, just letting you do what you needed to do. Okay. And then, so you have him kind of above you, and your idea in your mind is get his head above water as fast as possible. As you take him up
both
the
of the heads, yes, but also his.
Both of you, but you actually had him in that position of his head would break the water first. You're dragging him up.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. And then you got to you broke water, and then do you remember a moment of taking a deep breath as soon as you got into the air? Okay.
Yes. But the feeling was not only that I got saved, I had also the feeling what happened. Why didn't he react? Did he want to die? Like, wasn't he aware that we were drowning? Like, that this happened? Like, why did he let himself drowning? That was the predominant feeling.
Okay. And then,
because
go ahead.
In my dream, I was very sure that I would be saved. Like in my dream, I had the plan that I would go upstairs and I would be saved. That was there was no question about me drowning. Although I was afraid, I had this feeling that I would for sure be saved. So I had only the inconvenience of holding my breath or something.
Okay.
I knew that I would be saved. I don't know if it is important or not.
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good detail too. It's going to come back around to that in a moment. Just, I guess the last thing I would want to know is that once you broke the surface of the water, you got his head up, you got your head up, you take a deep breath. You then said you climbed the stairs. Like, did he finally respond and walk out of the water with you?
And then the dream stopped. I don't know.
So basically, after you had gotten to the surface of the water, he was safe, you were safe, the dream stopped there. He never actually took any action independently, volitional action of his own.
No.
Okay. That is interesting too. Well, now that we've, I like these short dreams. I mean, sometimes an episode goes on for 3 hours because it just needs to. And sometimes we get the dream and we get the second pass done really quickly and we can just move on to focusing on what the hell does it mean. So now that you have been through it twice and the second time in greater detail, did anything come to your mind as being really, did you make any connections independent before I start making suggestions?
Not really. Not really. The only connection that I made was that in our relationship, he is really passive. Okay. He's a little bit passive. I mean, like, I think I'm doing most of the work and I put most of the effort. That's my feeling as well. Yeah,
that was definitely something that came to my mind. And that's why I was kind of emphasizing what's his role in all this. And there may be, well, before I jump into that too, I think that's an important point. We're going to focus on that too. Did anything else stand out? Like, what I mean by that is if you were to choose something to talk about first, some imagery or experience of the dream, where does your mind go?
I don't know. I have the impression that I was also astonished, like intrigued, because the on the bed there was like there were like white sheets. It was like white, very expensive, like very luxurious bed sheets, which I don't really use. I usually have like some brown stuff.
Okay.
Yes, and this hit me because it was like the bed was not made by me. I didn't make my bed, and I didn't own this kind of bed sheets.
Okay.
This was this was a little bit weird.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's an expression you may be familiar with. You made your bed, now lie in it. Do you know that expression? So there is something there, and that expression speaks to you created this circumstance, therefore you're going to have to deal with it in some way. The consequences of whatever will be on you because you're the one who created it. That's not where I'm going with this necessarily, but the idea that this bed was not made by you, that interesting choice of words is that it doesn't appear it's your bed, but it's not, and it's not composed, created the way it exists in real life or even in your personal style. There's something different about this. That's a good thing that stands out as well. Before I make suggestions, I keep trying to get better at this type of thing of like, what do you associate with the bedroom? What comes to your mind when you think about that piece of furniture, that space? What does it mean to you?
I don't know, like relationships, like making love, like sleeping, all of these. I don't know what in dream interpretation bed means.
Sure. No, and it doesn't mean any one thing. That's perfect. What you just said is what immediately were the thoughts that just came to your mind when you focused on that idea. Relationship, making love, but also sleeping. Just so you've got these, you've got a social connection, you've got physical needs, but also physical needs broken down into physical intimacy, sexual, but also the necessity of sleep and rest.
Yes.
And it's interesting too. Your boyfriend did not appear sitting on the stairs outside the room. He appeared sitting on the bed. So there's some connection with him and the bed, and the fact that the bed is not what it should be, what it would normally be. It's something different than what you would expect. It's something different than and this goes to him wearing a different coat too. There's like this style of bed sheets that would be normal for you. That's not what it is. There's a style of coat that would be normal for him. That's not what it is. So there's something off, something different, something that shouldn't be. Is that making sense?
Yes.
Maybe these things are appearing to reinforce that idea in your mind that something's wrong in a way. I don't want to put ideas in your head, but that's kind of the sense I'm getting.
Yes.
Does that kind of resonate with you when you think about things being wrong? I mean, you mentioned immediately the idea that he seems a little passive in the relationship in general, and that you feel like you're putting in all the work or most of the work, and that
yes, and also he has a behavior that he didn't have before. It's like him being out of his self. Like for 5-6 months that we were in the beginning together, he was not acting like that.
Okay.
Like he has some things that he does that I couldn't relate these things to him. Like there are some things that he has changed behavior, and I don't know where to attribute it.
Sure. Change for the better, change for the worse, in your opinion?
Or the worse.
For the worse. So there may be things he used to do that, in terms of your relationship together, that he stopped doing those things, stopped making efforts.
Well, effort he was never made. He never made a lot of effort, but he started being more critical.
Okay.
Criticizing things. He started worrying about things that he didn't worry before. Like before, he was more fun to be with the whole time. But
Okay.
but now, yeah. He also, what else? He started spending less time with me than before. Yeah, he stopped. He was not working as before. Like he's being another person.
So just in general, kind of more of a broad personality change. He's just not the same person that he was when you first met him.
At least to me, because I didn't have experience of him with his friends or something, because we were only together when we were together, only us two.
Okay.
So I don't know if he changed towards me or if he is changed totally.
Okay. And you said he got a little increase, or just some noticeable increase in critical comments, maybe towards you, as far as I can tell.
Yes.
But also more worries. What is he expressing worries about, if it's okay to ask?
About his work.
Okay. How do you understand what his work means to him in terms of being out of work? Would you link that directly to a change in personality, that he's, did he get fired? Did the work dried up and he just can't get a job right now?
Well, he was working in restaurants. Okay. So with the corona, the situation was more difficult back then. And so he was worried about that. And he has a son. So he was worrying about how he would be able to support his son.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something. I don't know if that connection's obvious to you, but there is something in having meaningful work, doing something you find interesting, meaningful, but at the very least being productive and being a provider. so he's worried about, I don't have a job. This situation's terrible, and I'm worried about providing for my son. And I could see this. I mean, was that a connection you made in your mind of how his personality had changed as a result of these changing circumstances?
Well, what can I say? Not really. Not really.
Okay.
Because, not really.
That had not occurred to you, or you don't think that's actually related?
I don't think that's actually related. I think that it's like an excuse.
Maybe so. He could try to be more positive, energetic. He could try to be his usual old self. There may be some connection in your mind of like he's just not trying hard enough, that he could do better, he could do more.
Yes, or he could be more realistic and don't get miserable because he doesn't have work.
Okay. Have you I don't know how it is in your cultural sphere in terms of people getting help for depression. Does it feel like he's kind of sunk into a depression? I don't know what your understanding of that is.
Yes, to me, he was appearing like having depression.
Okay.
A little bit, but to friends of us, he was not. Like, to me, he was very heavy and negative. But when I was talking with friends, common friends, that we didn't have interaction simultaneously, we were not simultaneously at the same company. It's just that he was talking to them separately from me. They told me that he was really uplifting and he was having fun and he was expressing no worries and being like more not that serious, etc., etc.
Okay, yeah. So it seems like there's definitely a disconnect between how he interacts with you and what he is showing to other people. You may not know, but that is actually a pretty common feature of depression, where, especially in men, they tend to hide it from the rest of the world, but they'll let their most intimate partner see it, which is kind of unfair because it looks like they're showing other people this happy-go-lucky, bright, positive side of themselves, and it feels like it's being withheld from you. But if this is the case, what you're getting is how he really feels. What he's being vulnerable with you. He's giving you the truth. He's not giving them the truth in the same way. Because it's, well, for a lot of reasons, but mostly for men, confessing things in that way, being vulnerable that way publicly is very shameful. So we, being men with our pride, tend to hide it, put on that face of everything's fine. But what you're experiencing in this dream is you're seeing him drowning. This is a fantastic metaphor for his life, and the building, the place you live with him. He's moved in with you, or you've been living together for a while in this place.
No,
he doesn't live with you at all.
No.
Okay, interesting. Well, that may or may not matter, but in your dream, he's there in your house, which in a way like being in your life. He's connected to you in that way. He's inside.
Yes.
And you're seeing him not reacting to very obvious danger. You're gonna drown. This is, what the hell are you doing? So when you think of it that way, of like, is this just like a broad metaphor for his whole life? You see him drowning and he's not saving himself in real life?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't believe that he has some destructive behavior, that he doesn't try to change. I don't see him. The only thing is that he is very negative, at least towards me. And he doesn't try to change. He doesn't listen to me when I say that don't be so negative, don't be more realistic, and things are not that bad as you present, or at least you present to me.
Yeah. Well, that's what am I trying to say? It's important that your perception of him is not someone who is self-destructive. So you don't think he's, if we put it in the dream imagery, you don't think he's drowning himself on purpose. He's not sitting there knowing he's going to die and just doesn't care. That's not the right way to put it. It's like you don't think that's the goal he wants to achieve. He's not looking to die. Does that make sense?
No, he didn't. He didn't try to. He didn't try to drown himself, but he didn't try to save himself either.
Yeah, and that's a very powerful metaphor on both sides too. With this idea of him being in a pretty serious funk, whether we call it a clinical depression or not, I can't say because I'm not talking to him directly. But if we ran with that interpretation of he's just in a really low place, it's hard to find that motivation. It's like depression is kind of, what am I trying to say? It's infamous, or it's a key element of depression that motivation is lacking. It's almost like depression steals that motivation away. It makes it so you can't find it. It's not present in you to even look for hope. Like if hope were to exist, you can't see it, and you don't even have the motivation necessary to reach out for it. So I think there's something very powerful in this imagery of you watching him be in a state of danger, and in your mind you're like, I'm going to save him. I'm going to take action. He won't, I'll do it. Which kind of seems also related to your general relationship dynamic of being, he's just generally kind of a passive guy, not very active, motivated in general. I don't want to put words in your mouth about his behavior, but when you say passive, it's broader than just passive with you. He's kind of passive in his broader life.
Sometimes he is. Like there are some situations, if he wants something really badly, he will take action. But most of the times he's just like, passive.
Okay. Maybe it would help to get a better understanding of how that passive personality expresses itself with you. What is an example maybe of something where he demonstrates being passive to you versus when he appears motivated towards some goal in a different way? Do you have an example?
Passive to me, like if I call him, we will arrange a meeting or something. Otherwise, maybe there are 2 days until he messages me and he shows signs of like life.
Okay.
I have to tell him what to do, like where to go, etc. Energetic, I think, when he tries to find a job, or I don't know, I've never seen him like taking an action.
Okay. Can you think of any examples of when he appeared to be motivated towards a goal and pursuing it actively against maybe some resistance or struggle?
I cannot give you such an example.
Fair enough. Just curious on that end. So
I don't have.
So there's a definite disconnect in, to say it neutrally, a relationship style. He seems to be fine with, if you want to hang out, you'll let him know, and he'll just wait till you're ready. Maybe that's where he's coming from, or he likes a bit of time in between seeing you, even if he cares about you and wants to see you. A couple of days to him doesn't feel like very long, and then eventually he'll reach out if you haven't contacted him. So this is not to say you are right or wrong in what you want, or that he is right or wrong in how he responds or what he wants. But there's definitely a mismatch in maybe you would wish he would call more often and take the initiative more often. That's something that you want from him.
Yes.
Have you talked to him about that directly at all? Like, hey, why don't you call me more often? I'd like to see you. I'd like to not be the only one arranging dates. Can we? Why don't you take me out sometime? Have you kind of said that to him directly?
I told him, but he doesn't do anything.
You feel like you did make that clear that that's something you would like, and how did he respond to that? Did he just go, whatever, or did he go okay and just never did it, or?
He just goes okay, and he never does it.
Huh. So, I mean, there's two possibilities that jump to mind. Is he's just, what am I trying to say? He either doesn't know really what you expect. Like, he'd do it if it were more specific. Maybe not. But then the other side of it is he might just say, okay, but then he's just not, again, motivated to actually follow through for whatever reason.
Maybe.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be critical of you or him in this situation, because I don't really know either one of you beyond what we're getting to from talking about the dream. But speaking of the dreams, and I started to say this earlier on too, the idea of the water not actually displacing anything. And even the fact that he could smoke underwater, there's this very interesting idea that it seems to be your brain is showing you what you are experiencing, but it isn't as if it's not that it isn't real, because what your experiences are real always, but it isn't like a physical phenomenon. Like the water's not making objects float. It's an experience that you are having in this environment.
Yes.
That kind of makes sense?
Maybe, yes.
Yeah. So this is very much, I guess what I'm trying to get at is your mind showing you this is how you're seeing the situation. You're seeing this building full of water, even if the water looks like it's not having any effect on it. You can even have a lit cigarette underwater. That doesn't make any sense. So there's a striking disconnect between how you're perceiving it, how you're experiencing it, and what's actually happening. Even if he actually would drown, if that's just something in the dream, there's still this idea of the water that is the threat is not really touching anything. Do you have a sense of...
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, it just makes me not being able to breathe.
Yeah. And then this sense too, that's something you mentioned, like right at the very end, and I put a little caret by it too, is that you knew this was a serious situation, but it wasn't one that you couldn't handle. You were going to be fine. You knew what to do. You knew how to save yourself, and you knew how to conquer the challenge, but only because you were going to take it seriously and do something about it. Like if you just stayed there, you drown, but that was not your plan. Well, your plan was to get out of the water, and you knew you could. There was never a sense, what am I trying to say? It was never a sense that you were in actual danger, like you might not make it.
Yes.
Yeah. When you think about that, does anything come to mind?
I don't know, maybe my perception of things is not proper. Like I see some things more negative, or there is something that pressurizes me that doesn't exist, and just that I am pressurized, but this situation is in my mind and it doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I was trying not to give that impression of when I was describing the water. It's what am I trying to say? It's not like it doesn't exist, because your experience is real. Your emotions are real. Your feelings about the circumstances are real, and even your perceptions of other people. So you've got this other person, and the way you're seeing them is they're not taking the real danger they're in seriously, and you're taking action to save them on their own behalf, and also for yourself. You don't want to see them drown, because that would hurt you, as well as you don't want them to be hurt. There's two things happening there, but it isn't like it isn't like you're necessarily wrong. Just because maybe the water isn't touching anything doesn't mean it isn't real. what am I trying to say? One thing I wanted to ask was whether you saw any motion, say, of his hair or his jacket reacting to the water. I mean, he definitely floated. I mean, you didn't have this sense of lifting him and carrying him on your shoulder. He was lightweight because he could float in the water.
Yes.
Okay. And that is an interesting thing that was different from, there's no other objects floating there. So this was definitely, I think, your mind saying, reinforcing that your perception is accurate, even if it isn't impacting the environment. And even if he isn't responding to it, it's still, this is happening. So otherwise he wouldn't be able to float. Yeah.
The other thing that I can think of is that the situation that he presents me is not real. Like he presents a situation where I perceive pressure and negativity and negative emotions that like gets me like not being able to breathe and wants me to save myself. But this is not true.
Okay.
Like that he presents that he's drowning while he's not, and he presents that there is flood while I perceive the flood, but there is no flood. And that's why he floats as well, because he pretends that there is a situation like that. But the situation is not like that at all.
Yeah, there's some complicated relationship dynamics going on here too. Not just the disconnect between maybe styles of interacting and whatnot, but also the metaphor came into my mind of, being in a relationship that isn't working out well might feel like drowning to you. Is that where your mind goes with this? I mean, are you having doubts of, do I want to keep doing this? Or I don't want to put that idea in your mind, but if that's something you've already considered.
Yeah, sure. This is also one thing. And the other thing is that maybe he presents some situations in a negative way, or he presents false situations. Like as I said, that he's very negative and he makes me really very negative, and I perceive him as heavy, etc. But maybe this is not the case. Maybe this is what he wants me to perceive. Like he wants me to think about him as being in a negative situation while he's not.
I mean, at the very least, you have that concern, that suspicion maybe in your mind that he's not being real with you.
Yeah, like he presents me his life in a negative light, and he puts a lot of pressure on me, also psychological, like, because if you are talking with a person that he is always negative and he's always worrying, etc., you understand that there is no fun in the relationship anymore. You just discuss about problems, but these problems do not exist. Exactly. It's like being manipulated so that he puts me in a negative state of mind and state of emotions. And that's why he's not afraid of the situation, and that's why he can smoke underwater, and that's why there is nothing floating, because actually there is no danger. It's just that I perceive it as a flood. Like for me, there is water that drowns me, but for him, there is nothing.
Yeah. And at the very least, whether or not anything you've said about him is actually how he feels, and it may be, but what I'm saying is this is what it looks or feels like to you, just as you're describing it. So this could be the general perception being expressed in the dream. As you're saying that at the very least you're considering this possibility that is this what's really going on with him, and then so your mind in the dream goes to, well, what does that idea look like? And it looks like a flood where he's passive and you have to save him, and he's not reacting, and he's smoking underwater, and the water's not floating anything. So yeah, that sounds very, very close to it. So my question would be, I mean, I don't want to encourage you to think along these lines, but have you already thought about whether or not you want to stay in this relationship?
Well, we have some breakups, breakups, and we get back together with my initiative.
You kind of get fed up with him and say, I've had it with you. And then how do you get back together? Do you reach out because you're lonely? Does he reach out because he apologizes? How does that work?
Usually I reach out, and I reach out.
Okay.
Usually because I overreact sometimes, like I get very angry and we have fights, and then I feel like I have to apologize for having very bad behavior, like being very volatile and very abusive verbally.
Okay. You think you've had some of those experiences where you get overly emotional, maybe snap a bit verbally, and you say some things from a place of strong emotion,
sure.
And you're not, it's maybe not exactly how you really feel, or you're not proud of it, kind of ashamed of your behavior in that respect.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now, thinking back on some of those times, and I know exactly what you mean, and that doesn't mean you were necessarily right or wrong in those circumstances. And that's what I'm going to next is looking back on some of those things. Were you telling the truth as you felt it? You just had to get worked up enough to let it out. Like otherwise you'd suppress it. And it's only when you got emotional enough that you finally expressed how you really feel.
Usually I'm very confrontational, so I express how I feel from the beginning.
Okay.
But at some point when I don't see any change or reaction, I get really very angry. I get very frustrated, and then with a small, as most of the people, like with a small thing happening, I explode.
Gotcha.
And this is usually what happens.
Yeah. Well, there's a metaphor in that too of like a pressure cooker where you keep turning the heat up and up and up, and then eventually the sealed container has enough pressure in it, it just bursts finally, and you're like, I've had enough of this. So that happens. That happens. And I can see that too, is like, I like to think of myself as someone who's very calm and rational, and I think things through, and I say I'm always very direct. And even if I try to be diplomatic or kind about it, I say what I'm really thinking. I say what I want. But then I have moments where it's like, yeah, I've said it. I keep saying it again and again, and it's not happening. And damn it, now I'm mad. And I'm not proud of those moments, even if it's true, even if it's real, even if my frustration is justified. And then I go back and I apologize for like that. That's not how I meant to say that. That's not what I meant to do. I wish I'd expressed myself differently. I'm not proud of that behavior because it's not who I want to be. That's not how I want to present myself. So yeah, I don't want you to beat yourself up over that too. It's a pretty natural human thing too. Yeah, I mean, this dream overall seems to be looking at your relationship in general and just considering, your brain is presenting to you this situation where you're imagining this feels like I'm in real danger. I know how to get out of it, but I've got to drag him along. I mean, he just kind of appears as in a sense, dead weight. You got to save him too. You got to save yourself. You got to save him. That is a lot of pressure on you in that regard. And I think in general, it seems to be speaking to you're just not very happy where you're at right now with the way things are.
That's true.
When you think of the dream, in general, from that perspective of just kind of getting a better look at why you're unhappy and how it works. Does it seem to line up? Make sense?
Yeah, but the thing is, what does it mean that we finally got saved? Like that we put our heads over the water, like out of the water. Does this mean that the things will be better, or
that specifically? You had, from the very beginning of the dream, you had a goal in mind: get your head above water, and the end of the dream was achieving that goal. And where your brain took you on that was past your room where he was, and I think it's very important that he was in your room. He wasn't in the hallway. He wasn't in the bathroom. He wasn't the one who turned on the tub upstairs. Where was I going with that? Oh, you were asking about why did the dream end suddenly? Well, you got to the destination. You got to the place where you are safe. You reached the goal in a way, so that the dream at that point didn't have anything else to show you. The thought process had been concluded. I was going to say too that the idea that you didn't panic, you had a sense of real danger, but also a sense of confidence in yourself. You know you are capable of dealing with this, of handling it, of managing the situation successfully. And you did. You showed yourself that in the dream. If there had been more to the dream, then that's why I asked at the very end of, did he then respond and start walking up the stairs with you? No, it just stopped there. It stopped when you reached that goal, which is, I think, expressing that you don't know what comes next. Or your mind would have shown you something, at least a speculation of what could happen. I was kind of hoping at the end of the dream, you said you both went up the stairs. I thought, okay, finally you got his head above water, and in your mind, once he got there, he was able to then stand up and walk. Nope, he was still it was all you that responded and managed the situation in the dream, which kind of seems like how you're feeling in real life. It's all you. You're the one devoting all this time and attention to trying to think it through and figure it out and make it work. Yeah. And do you remember any times when you broke up that he was the one to come back to you first?
First of all, the first time that we, like after the first breakup, the big breakup, that we were like 2 months together apart, he initiated the contact and he came to me.
Okay.
But after that, in all our breakups, which were short, like 3 days, 4 days, or whatever, I was always initiating the contact.
Yeah.
Because I was the one that was saying, no, I want to break up, etc. Or leave my house, etc. So I would bring him back again.
The first time, did he break up with you, or was it mutual? There was just a fight and you both said...
No, it was not mutual. The first time he broke up with me, it was his decision and he didn't want to change it. So...
Okay. That's an interesting dynamic too, is that the first time he initiated the breakup and the getting back together, and the subsequent times it's been you as a result of feeling bad about an emotional outburst. It feels like, in a very real way, in the dream experience, he was a burden you had to carry on your own way to saving yourself. So there may be something in there. I mean, I can't tell you should or shouldn't stay with him, but I think we've identified the idea that you do feel burdened by this, say, responsibility, or the one who has to take action every time, and that it's not meeting your needs, the relationship in general. I mean, just an idea, possibility. This dream might be saying, you're not happy where you're at right now. Something's got to give. Either he's got to rise to the occasion, and maybe he will, maybe he can't, maybe he doesn't want to. But if that doesn't happen, you might just have to save yourself. If he's not going to respond, maybe you got to get out, and maybe you do it this time on purpose. You don't wait for an emotional outburst for a breakup. You say calmly, in a moment when there's no heated exchange, this is not working for me. I'm not happy. I don't like this. There's some things I would expect to get better if we're going to stay together. And if you're not interested, that's okay. But that's what I need. And if you're not going to change, if you're not going to rise to that occasion, if you're not going to help me swim out of here, I'm not going to carry you. I got to go. I got to do my own thing. And then that way you don't have to feel bad about an emotional outburst. You say it calmly. It's a decision you've thought about. Again, I'm not encouraging you to do this, but if you're not happy, if you do want to be free of the burden of the situation, if that's how you feel about it, it would be better to do it in a calm moment on purpose rather than an emotional outburst that you regret and then feel like you have to get back together because you got to apologize. I don't know. Yeah, I talked a lot. How do you feel about all that?
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah. And I don't want to leave you with the impression that I'm encouraging you to do anything. This is your life. I'm trying not to give advice. There's nothing you should do other than honestly understanding how you feel and what you want and whether it's going to work. And you make that decision rationally instead of emotionally. And, maybe you present it to him, you help him understand, and he goes, yeah, I had no idea. Maybe he wasn't paying attention. Maybe he didn't care enough, but you lay it out like that and he might say, I can do better and I will. Or he's going to say, I'm not interested, and that's sad, but you're not obligated to stick around and put up with it if it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
but the other thing is that
yes.
I never met a person that is like so passive. Like if a person doesn't want to interact with you, then even if you like either he would put an effort, or if he doesn't want to put an effort, then he wouldn't be positive to your efforts or reactive. Like usually,
yeah,
what is happening is that you like a person and you try to put some effort. Like even if you don't put 50%, then you put some effort. Otherwise, if you don't put effort, like then you are not reactive. Like you don't want to go out with this person. Like you just don't want. You just don't go out with this person. Like you don't respond to the phone calls, or you don't say that we are back together. You say that I don't want to get back together.
He is given some
I don't quite understand this kind of thinking.
For sure. No, he's very much giving these mixed signals of like, I'm happy to let you do all the work as long as you do all the work and you're happy with that. But he's not, and that might be where he's coming from. Maybe I kind of hit on it right there, but there's something, this is what I was saying is not working for you. It's like you want more than he's giving. But there is this bizarre disconnect between, if you don't want to hang out, why would you even take my calls and then agree to hang out? And then we go and hang out and it's all bullshit or negative or whatever. Why not just say, I'm not interested, and let it go? I mean, there's something going on. Maybe if this is true, it's possible that some people are happy to be passive. As long as you do all the work, they'll accept that. But if they have to give anything in return or make an effort, they're just not going to do it because that's not what they want. But they'll accept the attention in that way. And this happens both ways too. I mean, there are some situations I've known of in the past. It didn't happen to me, but where there's a man putting in all the effort, and sometimes the girl takes his calls, sometimes she doesn't. She'll be happy to hang out or accept an invitation to go do something, but then she's on her phone the whole time and they're barely interacting and she's just complaining and negative. And, if that person was a friend of mine, I would say to them, like, what are you even getting out of this? What do you get out of being around her? What is going on here? Why she never calls you? She never initiates a date. She doesn't seem enthusiastic to be with you. Why are you wasting your time with this person trying to giving them all this energy and they're just giving nothing back? They're just like a black hole sucking it all up, and they're happy to take it as long as you'll give it, but they're not going to give anything back. I have actually told, personal real life friends, like, just seems like she's just not that into you. Like she just doesn't really care about you, and she'll let you buy her drinks and take her out on the town or whatever, and pay for activities, buy her dinner. But does she ever do that? Does she ever invite you to go for a walk in the park or whatever? And he's like, oh no, and like, is that what you want? And he finally came to his own understanding of he wasn't happy with it. He's just like, I want someone who's as enthusiastic about me as I am about them. And so he decided to break it off, and he found somebody else, and it was a much better situation. So not giving advice to you, but beyond saying you got to know what you want, and that it's okay to want it. And that if you're not getting it, you're not stuck in this. You're not trapped. You can swim out of this water. You can get to the surface, and you don't have to take him with you. If he really wants to drown, it's not your job to save him. It's not your responsibility to put all this effort in and drag him to the surface if he just doesn't want to, if he just doesn't care. Yeah, I feel like I just rambled a bunch. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I feel like I'm talking you into breaking up with him. I don't want to do that. That's not what that's not my angle here. but it seems like these are all the things you're honestly thinking about. This is what you're feeling, and I respect that 100%. I want to tell you what I see you thinking about, and tell you that it's okay to think that, and that you're good. It's good to know what you think and feel, and then decide what to do about it. You could decide you're happy, or you could come to a place where you just accept it. He's always going to be kind of a lump, and I'm going to do all the work. And okay, that's the way it is. Maybe you come to a place where that's enough for you and you accept it. But if it's not, you can change it if you want to. Yeah.
No, it's true.
Yeah. It's kind of a downer. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. The dream was like that, so it's not your fault. It's a dream.
It's true. This is just the conversation that happened after we tried to peek inside your mind and find out what are these images? What's going on here? And yeah, it's your mind processing all these real life experiences you're having and trying to give you an image of what you are struggling with. That's mostly dreams are they don't give you an answer. They tell you the right question, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. That's kind of what I've come to through my experience here. I'm definitely not someone who thinks dreams are prophetic. If you dream of a lion, doesn't mean you're going to become a king. A lot of the dream books say things like that, or you're going to rise to some station. Like dreams can predict the future, but they can definitely tell you what you are thinking if we get to the right understanding of the imagery. So, I don't know if I had any other elements that would give you any additional insight. Does anything else stand out to you in terms of imagery? Like when I asked that question once before, like a half an hour ago, we got off on this tangent with the end of the dream and coming up to the surface of the water and why it ended there. But any other images come to mind?
Not really. I'm just wondering, what does it mean? Like, why did I see the water coming from the bathtub?
Oh yeah, no, I completely forgot about that too. That might give you some extra insight or understanding about how you're feeling. Bathtub. Okay, so there's the possibility that, well, your brain needed a source for the water. It needed somewhere for the water to come from, so it made sense in the dream context, and your brain could have just randomly said bathtub. Okay, so it's bathtub. That's possible, but it also might mean something more. I mean, how, like we did before, what comes to your mind when you think of bathtub? Do you take baths versus showers? Do you like to relax?
Yes, I usually bath. That's true.
You do usually take baths?
True, I usually take baths. So I love taking baths, so I usually take baths.
So that's typically a place of relaxation, enjoyment, comfort for you, is the bathtub?
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Okay. Something jumped to my mind when you were talking about that. And I got this image of someone relaxing in a nice warm bath, hot, as hot as you like it. and they just feel comfortable. They're like, this is nice. There may be something there. What came to my mind was the idea that you, in seeking a certain kind of comfort, have caused this flood. When you think about that, does that, or like the source of comfort is where the flood's coming from? Not that you caused it necessarily. What do you think about that?
Yes, but yeah, it's a plausible explanation. However, I don't directly relate it to the, like, I cannot find something that try to seek and find comfort that caused the flood. I don't know, maybe because I want to have a relationship, and so like if I and because I wanted more, then I don't know. I pressurized to be with him, and I'm just drowning now.
Yeah, I think you were onto something there too. That's what I was kind of where I was going in my head, is the idea that there's something you find, there's something you're getting from this relationship, as broken as you might feel it is, and as broken as the dream seems to be representing it. But so that's the idea, is that you're finding some comfort in being in this relationship. There's something you're getting out of it. There's something that in your mind is like the comfort of a warm bath. But it is seeking this, it is this source of comfort in a way that is flooding, it's like the idea that came to my mind was that you're trying to be honest with yourself about your responsibility in a way, in your, that's why I said causing this seeking this comfort is causing this flood, is if you were determined to give up the comfort of being in this relationship, then that would solve the problem. But because you hang on to this comfort, whatever you're getting from it is leaving you in this situation where you've got a problem to deal with. I don't know if that seems like a likely connection.
Yes, that's true. But I cannot find what I seek. I don't know, like intimacy. Like I don't know.
Yeah, but that's a very, see, and again, so the dream, like I was saying before, dreams are not going to give you an answer, but they're giving you the right question. The question is, what are you getting out of this? What is this doing for you? What is this comfort? Or again, I just say comfort because comfortable bath, it's something you enjoy. What is that enjoyment, comfort, whatever it is? What are you getting out of this that is making it difficult for you to say, let it go, if that would be the better thing to do? And maybe the answer is you turn off the spigot and the flood ends, and then that's it. You break up, or whatever it is you're looking for, you can find another way to get at it. What am I trying to say? Like it's whatever it is that's keeping you invested in this relationship is both the source of the problem and a potential solution. That's very vague. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I don't know. Does that make you think anything? Is it when I put it that way?
Yes, it makes sense. Not direct, like I cannot relate it to something, but I can think. I like it's a food for thought.
Yeah.
To see what I seek from this relation, what kind of comfort, and then to stop the water, to close the tub.
Yeah. And there may be a way to do that without leaving the relationship, and there may be no way to do it without leaving. Leaving might be the only way to turn off the water. But those are both on the table right now. So that's definitely, I would want to leave you with more. I would want to leave you with the right questions to think about going forward. And even tonight, you might have another dream where you're back in the water, and you do something different. Your mind says, okay, now that we've thought it through in that way, what if I look at this? So there's a lot of people that have follow-up dreams, or people, especially one of my favorite things is people that have very disturbing recurring dreams that are like, I keep having the same dream over and over again, and it's awful and I don't like it. And by talking about it, they get a better understanding of what they're thinking and why it's showing up in that way in their mind. And those disturbing recurring dreams stop. That makes my heart just sing, that I could do that just by talking to someone. Hopefully that something I did helped them put that behind them and understand it in a way that their brain could let it go and say, you get it. You don't need this dream anymore. Moving on. I love that.
Yes, I don't have recurrent dreams. That's that I never see a flood. I never saw a flood before.
Yeah, this is kind of a new experience.
Drowning. It was the first time that I saw it.
Yeah, and drowning is a very visceral human fear of being overwhelmed by not just water, like literally physically drowning. It's terrifying, but being overwhelmed by circumstances, by responsibilities, by emotions, but anything that overpowers you as deep water would, where you can't escape or can't breathe, or that you have to get out of it to save yourself. It's very, very powerful imagery there. I knew that going in right from the very beginning. I'm like, oh, flooded house. Wow. And the idea also that it was your house, that it was where you live. It was very personal to you. You weren't in another building. You weren't out in nature. This wasn't a raging river pouring over a waterfall, It's very, very intimate, very personal to your space.
Exactly. And not only this, but the house was like exactly, except the bed. How is it in reality? Like there was nothing wrong or nothing distorted.
Yeah. And then the idea that both he and the bed had differences. Like this is not something along the lines of, this is not the way it should be, or this is different than I remember it. That there's something in that difference of his personal style being different in the dream, and your bed where you sleep and have intimate connections not being the way you would make it. It's as if it were made by someone else. If someone else put their sheets on your bed. That's also very much demonstrating that disconnect of something that isn't the way it should be, or isn't the way you like it. Oh.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah.
I don't have anything else to add. But this is it.
It feels like we covered the bases pretty well.
Yes.
And it sounds like you're getting ready to have a late night snack or something. You're in the kitchen.
I went to make a coffee, but it's like a lot of people also in the kitchen.
Fair enough. No, I was just going to say that as well. We've been at this almost an hour and a half, and if you don't have anything more, we could wrap it up. Yeah.
Yes, I don't think I have something else to add. That's true.
Okay. Good deal. Well, as long as you're satisfied, I'm happy to. Happy we talked, and happy to let you go. So I guess, we're at the end of the episode here. I'll just say, everybody watching, thank you for joining us for another episode of Dreamscapes. I never know how to end these things. I got a podcast. I got some books out there. You can find them on Amazon. Watch the other videos, and that's about it. Thanks for listening.